shut-ins of the COVID-19 era. What? Wait, oh shoot. It's gonna get demonetized. Oh no. Good thing I didn't monetize my channel. Welcome to a review of... What is this movie even called? Jumanji? The new Jumanji. Jumanji... I'm gonna Google it right now. Jumanji: The Next Level. Yes, the title is as generic as I thought. And much like the movie itself, I think the title is fitting for the movie. It's, I don't know, it's pretty much as bog standard commercial sequel as I can get. The critic consensus on Rotten Tomatoes. Like many classic games, Jumanji: The Next Level retains core components of what came before while adding enough fresh bits to keep things playable. Notice it says playable and not, like, interesting. Because I feel like the movie is not, it's just not, it's just like, it's kind of, so I reviewed Jumanji. What was the first one called? Welcome to the Jungle. Welcome to the Jungle! I reviewed Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle a few years back. At least I think I did. Pretty sure I did. And that movie surprised me because I was expecting kind of a dumpster fire. Like, oh, we're rebooting Jumanji, but this time it's in a video game. Oh boy. Oh, and what I got was like a really fun, not like high art, but not like, you know, a masterpiece, but a fun, like, blockbuster sort of video game satire thing. And this movie at first shows the promise, shows some promise of kind of being that. They have a fun setup where, what's the main kid's name? I don't know. I don't remember any of the names. The Rock kid. He goes into the game, like, ahead of time for a stupid reason. I did miss the first, like, 5 minutes, because I was just watching it at home. I came into the living room, and I'm like, oh, you guys are watching Jumanji? Okay, I'll watch. So, maybe it made a little more sense, but it was kind of this lazy, like, oh, well, he's insecure about his relationship with his girlfriend now that they're in college, so he goes into the game to try to, like, lure everybody else in so he can be cool again? I don't know. He didn't even go into the Rock, so it's like, whatever. But that brings me to what I was gonna say is, they have a setup where his grandparents, his grandfather, played by Danny DeVito, and another man that his grandfather was friends with are at the house when the rest of the crew go into the video game, so, like, they get sucked in too, and so there's this vibe of, like, because I think they end up in The Rock and Kevin Hart at first, and so there's this vibe of, like, they're playing, like, old geezers who have no idea what's going on and have never played a video game in their lives, and that's, like, fun. I like, they continue to show the actors having a lot of fun just playing, and they swap bodies a few times throughout the movie, the characters do, so we get to see them all in different form, and that's the fun new gimmick, but it doesn't really, like, the story is still fundamentally the same. You have these characters that are in the video game setting, figuring out how the video game works, and then beating it. And it's, I thought it was going to be a little more interesting, because part of the reason they all get sucked into different characters at the beginning. Everyone except Ruby Roundhouse, Karen Gillian's character, they all get sucked into the wrong bodies. So they're like, wait, so the black dude's like, wait, what the heck? I'm Jack Black's character now. And so there's this weird, like, glitchiness going on with when they get sucked into the game. They all just get assigned random characters. And the glitchiness made me think, I commented this to my family after the movie, it made me think they were going for a plot where, like, this time they go into the game again, but the game's broken. And it's bugging out, and weird, glitchy shit is happening, and they have to figure out what's wrong and, like, try to beat this glitchy game. But and that would have been a cool premise that would have been something a little different from the first movie, more so than just the characters are in different bodies now. Like, that could have been a fun concept to see the video game world evolve. But instead, it's just kind of another video game campaign. that's only like slightly less generic than the first game campaign, and so everything it's just not as original. It's clearly like let's do the same thing again for a sequel because the first one did well, and it's just like it lacks that originality or like unique spin that kind of that draws you in. I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. It's just not. It's just average. It's a very average blockbuster, and I'd say the first one was an above average blockbuster because they had a unique idea, and then this kind of just reuses the same unique idea. So there's nothing. And I'd honestly like it. Probably wouldn't have bothered me so much, except that they make it, at least to me, they made it look like they were going to go with a glitchy game concept at the beginning, and then they just did not do that. Now, maybe that's an idea for a future sequel. Jumanji makers, if you're listening, if you're watching a random YouTube review that probably only has a handful of views, then for some reason, then future idea for another sequel. Make the game glitch out. Make them have to deal with glitches, because then you can write more video game meta stuff in there instead of just repeating the same. Because there's a lot of repeated, like the NPC guy who says Dr. Bravestone a lot shows up again. He introduces another cutscene again. The old guys are confused about the cutscene. Having the old guys come in just means that it's the same dynamic as before, with people being like, "What? Where am I? Why am I in this body? What's happening?" But now there's like a group of characters that have done it before and a group of characters that haven't, and most of the humor is just in the actors having fun with the weird characters they're playing, which is a lot of the same humor that was in the first one, but the first one had some at least like somewhat clever video game meta-ness that is just, it's here in the second one, but again, none of it's original. It's just the same jokes. Even introducing new characters who are unfamiliar with the world means they repeat even more jokes of like, "Oh, what's this? What's this? Is this a cutscene? What's a cutscene?" And it's just like, we've heard this already. There's not much of a reason to watch Jumanji: The Next Level unless you really enjoyed Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle and want to see more of that. And that's unfortunate because I feel like there are places you could take the video gamey concept that are more interesting, such as my glitch story plotline, which again could be a future plot in a future movie, but that wouldn't, I mean, like, okay, that'd be cool, that'd make the third movie good, but why could that have just been the second movie? Also, any future movie they make, they're going to have to contrive an equally stupid reason for all the characters to get sucked into the game again, which I'm not looking forward to. Because in this one, it already felt contrived. Because the first one, they were like, we're going to bury the game, and we're moving on. And then the second one, it's like, oh yeah, the main kid, he dug up the game again, and he's insecure, so he goes in the game again. And it's like, cool, you're an idiot. And they all call him an idiot. But then, once they find him, they go into the game to find him, and then they end up finding him. And I honestly, like, it's not even worth really going over the specifics of the plot, because it's pretty much the same as the last movie's plot. I'd argue the conclusion fight is less interesting. It's more like they do a cool visual set piece with, like, a blimp that's crashing, and the main kid, who by this point is back in the rock, has to like fight the bad guy on the blimp. So maybe it's more visually interesting, but I feel like the way their teamwork in the first movie, the conclusion, you get a sense of how they all kind of use their teamwork to win. And this one, you don't really get a sense of that. You don't really get much of a character arc in general. There's this kind of ham-fisted plotline about the grandpa played by Danny DeVito, and the other old man is like his former friend and business colleague, but the friend sold their restaurant behind Danny DeVito's back, so now Danny DeVito is mad at him about it, and there's this like weird one-sided rivalry, and it's like, it's fine, it gives them something more to do than just be old people in the game, but it basically is like, oh, they're traveling, and then we'll stop for a scene while these two old dudes argue, and then we'll continue, and it's just like, it's this little side story that really has no substance to it. And that's a lot of it. There's not really substance. The character arcs are mostly either not there or like repeated from the first movie. Like, oh, the Rock's character learns that he's in love with the girl, which he knew in the last movie. Also, Jack Black teenage girl is the Jack Black teenage girl element that I thought was really funny in the first one is only there towards the end where they all switch back into the bodies they're used to. And so, like, in fact, she doesn't. There's when they all get sucked into the game. For some reason, she doesn't get sucked in because there's only 6 slots or whatever, or 5 slots, and the old dudes get sucked in instead because the game is glitching out. But they never go anywhere with that, so it just seems like a random weird plot convenience. So then she has to go to the Nick Jonas character's house, and then they come into the game. But then there's not enough people, so one of them's a horse, which is funny. But it's like, what? A lot of it is like it's just like they did a good job of keeping up the humor, but the story anchoring it is so just kind of fluff piece that it like it when it's that like it's not as fun as the first one. So in regards to Jumanji: The Next Level, I would say not as fun as the first one. Let me see, hold on. Welcome to the Jungle. It has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like that bare minimum of like it's good, but only in the most safe, vanilla way. I feel like it's a perfect rating. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is a little higher. It's 76. Not that Rotten Tomatoes scores matter, but in this case, they are relatively what is the word? What is the representative? They're relatively representative of my view on the movie, which is like it's good, but only in the like bare minimum way that the first movie was good, and they take what worked in the first movie and just do it again. And some of it works again, but some of it is like the comedy works again, but nothing else really works again. So I think it's kind of a wasted opportunity. Hopefully, if they make another one, it'll have a more unique spin or glitchy game concept or something to like not make it just kind of the same movie again. But so yeah, I wouldn't say I would. When I watched Welcome to the Jungle, I was recommending everybody watch it. After watching this one, I would say that I probably made the right decision to not go see it in theaters, and I would say pick it up on demand video on demand, download it, Amazon Prime or something at some point. And it's if you need a family movie to watch, it's fun, but unless you really enjoyed the first one, I wouldn't say to go out of your way to watch this new one, unfortunately. Arrivederci!